Unit 9, Breakthrough Unit 9, Feelings and Opinions. Okay, this is the last unit we're going to study in the Breakthrough book. What we will learn in this unit: adjectives of emotions, being able to use ed, ing endings correctly, and then writing about films. Okay, let's do it. But first, okay, our remaining schedule for this semester. So this is week 12, May 18 to 22, and we are doing Unit 9, and we will also introduce the writing test topic. Week 13, May 25 to 29, time to complete the writing test. So next week is basically just going to be time to do the writing test. Week 14, which is the first week in June, we will introduce the final test, review the semester, and we will have the final Unit 8 and 9 review quiz. And then in week 15, which is June 8 to 12, we will do the final test, and the university has decided that we will do the final tests on the campus. Okay, so the test will be taken at Sunshine University, but it will be a writing test. So don't worry too much about having to come to the university and do loads of speaking. Just to make it easier, we're going to be doing mostly writing tests, but we're going to be doing them at the university in week 15. I will give you the information about that during week 14, as it says here. Now, week 16 is officially called the Makeup Classes week. That is not relevant to us. We do not need to do that because we did some assignments for week 1 and week 2. So actually, your English class is going to finish after you take the final test during week 15. After you do the test in week 15, you can consider your English class finished. Okay, let's move on then to Unit 9. So the grammar, which is on page 110 of your book, adjectives with ed or ing endings. So let's just see what it says. So you use adjectives that end in ed to describe how we feel. The example in the book: after the soccer game, I felt tired all afternoon. I was shocked by the news on TV last night. So those adjectives describe how I feel, ed endings. Here's some more examples. I was annoyed when my friend cancelled our plan at the last minute. The last minute means just before something is supposed to begin. I was annoyed when my friend cancelled our plan at the last minute. The student got a poor score on his presentation test because he was too embarrassed to look at the audience and make eye contact. Okay, so number 1 describes how I feel. The second example describes how the student feels, the student felt. But they are both ed endings because they describe how somebody feels. Now, the ing ending of an adjective describes who or what makes us feel this way. So now we're describing the thing which is making us feel a certain way. So my examples: I woke up early to watch the football game on TV, but it was so boring. So the football game was boring. My best friend is really amusing. He's got a unique sense of humor. Right, so even though this is describing a person, it is describing how the person, the effect the person has on me. He is amusing. So you can still use ing endings to describe people, but you are describing the effect they are having on you. He is amusing. I am amused. And then look at the book examples. The soccer game was very tiring. The news on the TV last night was shocking. Right, so this seems quite simple, but it's actually a very common mistake that I see. So this is going to be a good time to practice using the correct endings. And you can see there in the book, they give us quite a lot of adjectives where you can use ed or ing endings. Okay, so let's practice. This is still on page 110. Stop the video and try to circle the correct adjectives. So basically you've got to circle, is it ed or is it ing? Right, so stop the video now and just have a quick go at doing that yourself. And then when you're ready, start the video again and I will go through the answers. Okay, here we go. Number 1. Everyone was disappointed to hear that the concert was cancelled. Number 2. I couldn't sleep at all last night, so I feel exhausted this morning. Number 3. There are too many ads on TV these days. I find it very frustrating. Right, so number 1 and 2 describe how I feel. Number 3 describes the thing that makes me feel that way, and in this case, it is TV ads. Number 4, we had a very relaxing day at the beach yesterday. Working on a farm is very tiring, but I enjoy it. This fish smells disgusting. I don't think you should eat it. All the kids were very excited when it started to snow. I was very surprised to hear that I had won the contest. Bungee jumping is the most terrifying thing that I have ever done. And number 10, when I noticed I'd forgotten to put on any socks, I felt very embarrassed. Right, let's just do the second exercise as well. Part 2. Read the questions and complete each adjective with ed or ing. So just take a moment to do this by yourself. Right, so the answers. Number 1, what's the most amuse comedy show? Right, so this is describing the comedy show, so it's not describing me. It's describing something else, that's ing. What's the most amusing comedy show on TV at the moment? Number 2, do you feel excited when you think about the future? Are you ever shocked by what you see on TV? What sports are you interested in? Do you think that science fiction movies are boring? When you watch the news, do you often feel depressed? Who is the most annoying person you know? What's the most frightening thing that's ever happened to you? Right, so if you're not sure about any of these, just double check them, or you can send me a message and ask me. More practice, page 57. Complete each sentence using an ed or an ing adjective. Right, we're going to look at this because we've got some new adjectives here. Number 1, I was very surprised when I passed my last exam. I hadn't done any work. Okay, have a quick go at filling in the rest of these. Right, number 2, I was blank on my last birthday because I didn't get any good presents. I was disappointed on my last birthday because I didn't get any good presents. You can easily make these into ing, or you can just turn them into the other form. I was disappointed on my last birthday, or my last birthday was disappointing because I didn't get any good presents. Number 3, when I meet people, I often can't remember their names. It's very embarrassing. Or, I feel embarrassed when I can't remember people's names. Number 4, I don't really know any amusing jokes. Number 5, I don't like horror stories. I find them terrifying. Right, so terrifying is a stronger adjective for scary, frightening, terrifying. These words are similar. Number 6, I'm fascinated by science fiction movies. I think they're really interesting. Fascinated, fascinating. 7, my trip here takes a long time. When I arrive, I'm always exhausted. Right, exhausted is a strong adjective for tired. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. It's what we call a strong adjective. It describes a stronger feeling. Number 8, I can't stand the smell of fish. I think it's disgusting. And number 9, I get very frustrated when I have to wait for a long time for a bus or train. Or, change it, waiting a long time for a bus or train is frustrating. Okay, let's keep going. A bit more speaking practice on page 58. Right, so usually in the class you would practice speaking with a partner, but you don't really have a chance to do that. So maybe I'll just go through some of these. Look at number 1 in the middle. What kinds of TV shows are you interested in? Okay, so in my case, I like watching nature shows because I'm interested in the natural world. I like watching documentaries because I find it interesting learning about facts. I like watching sports shows. I'm very interested in football and cricket. Number 2, how many hours a day do you watch TV? I would say that I usually watch TV for, on average, maybe 1 hour a day. Obviously it depends. These days people like to watch Netflix or YouTube. But on average, maybe 1 hour a day. Number 3, what do you think is the most exciting show on TV right now? I'm not sure. I don't have a current show that I watch, but recent shows that I watched on TV would be Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. What shows do you always try to watch? Well, for me it would be sports. I always try to watch Premier League football, so I'm hoping that it returns soon. Number 5, what's the most boring show you've seen recently? Boring show. Well, I think like most people, we don't really need to watch boring shows. We just flick our Netflix streaming service to something else. Have you ever been shocked by a TV show? Well, I remember watching Game of Thrones when some of the main characters were killed. That was quite shocking. How often do you watch TV while you are eating a meal? Yeah, I often do this. I like to watch TV while eating a meal at home. Number 8, do you ever feel frustrated by the commercials? Yes. TV adverts, TV commercials are frustrating, but I suppose these days I would say that YouTube commercials are the most frustrating things. Okay, so you could have a go at answering these questions by yourself. If you want to do some speaking practice, you could speak out loud, or you could just do some writing practice. You don't need to send those to me. Now then, we're going to move to the reading part, which is on page 61. And the theme of this reading section is a movie review. So look there, it says this week's movie spotlight, The Long River. This is not a real film. I think they made this up just for the book. Right, so it's a reading part, so let's read it. Our opinion. This is the website's opinion. This is the most frustrating movie we've seen in years. Frustrating. Nothing happens. There's no action, no story, and the acting is awful. After all the Hollywood hype, this movie was such a disappointment. 1 star. Right, so look at all the adjectives. Frustrating is an adjective, but also awful is an adjective. Disappointment is a noun. Right, and now there are 3 reader reviews. So let's have a look at Peem at the bottom. That's garbage. Did you even watch this movie? I saw it with my girlfriend and we both thought it was amazing. The acting was very good. Vic Walkers was totally convincing as the class teacher. I'll certainly see this again. 4 stars. What adjectives are there? Amazing, very good, convincing. There's an adverb with the adjective, totally convincing. The next one is by Suzanne. I went to watch it last night and I could hardly wait to get out of the movie theatre. I was so relieved when it was over. I agree, this movie is appalling. Don't waste your money. 1 star. So adjectives, relieved, appalling. And then Charlotte, in my opinion, Lucille Gartelli was superb. She gave a charming performance as the little girl who had lost her parents. I was very moved. She has a great career ahead of her. The other actors were disappointing, I agree. Although the story wasn't very believable, it's not such a terrible movie. 3 stars. Right, let's go through the questions. So part 1, read the movie reviews. We just did that. Find these sentences and read what comes before and after. Check the correct meaning. So, convincing. What's the closest meaning to convincing? Realistic. 2, I was so relieved when it was over. Relieved? Pleased? Number 3, this movie is appalling. Very bad. Number 4, she gave a charming performance. Very pleasant. And number 5, I was very moved, emotionally affected. Part 2, who watched the movie yesterday? Well, that is Suzanne. I went to watch it last night. Number 2, which of the movie actors is youngest? That would be Lucille Gartelli. She gave a charming performance as the little girl. Number 3, how many people enjoyed the movie? Well, Peem enjoyed the movie. Charlotte, she says, although the story wasn't very believable, it's not such a terrible movie. Peem and Charlotte. Number 4, which person thinks the review is fair? That would be Suzanne. Suzanne agrees with the review. They both think it was a bad movie. And number 5, on what point do Charlotte and Pim disagree? The acting. Pim thought the acting was very good. Charlotte thought all of the actors were disappointing apart from Lucille Gartelli. Okay, so we're going to use this topic, reviewing movies, as the topic for your writing essay. So the writing test, you are going to write about a movie. Right, here's the instruction, so please make sure you understand this. Choose a movie that you have seen and write a 5-paragraph essay about it. Okay, so the introduction, start with a hook, introduce the movie title, the genre, when you watched it and for the first time. So tell me, when did you watch it for the first time? And also give some background information such as the director's name, the main actors' names, where it was filmed, how popular it was, and anything like this. So your introduction, start with a hook, introduce the movie title and the genre, tell me when you watched it for the first time, and then give me some background information about the film. Body 1. Describe the story, which we call the plot. Now, the skill here is to summarize the story into 1 paragraph. Do not go into too much detail. Just retell the main events and the main point of the story. Now look at that part in purple. In your own words. Do not copy and paste internet movie reviews or summaries. Okay, if anybody copy and pastes things from the internet, you will lose some points. In your own words, briefly describe the main details of the story. Body 2. Explain why you liked the film and why or how it had an impact on you. And body 3, you can continue to explain in more detail why you liked it, or you can explain why you like that genre of movie, and you can give a few other examples. So you got 2 options for body 3. Explain in more detail why you liked the film, or explain why you like that genre of movie and give a few other examples. Your conclusion should summarize the body paragraphs, so there is no new information, just reviewing, and then you give a final closing comment. So the structure is the same as the midterm test. 5 parts: introduction, body 1, body 2, body 3, and a conclusion. Okay, so the writing test deadline will be Friday the 29th of May. That is the end of next week. Week 13, which is next week, I will not post a new video lesson. Just, you should concentrate on doing this assignment. Okay, so the writing test is from now until the end of next week. Friday, the 29th of May is the deadline. You have a lot of time, so do not be late, but take your time and do a good job. All of the information you need is on this page of this video. Okay, so I look forward to reading your essays. Good luck. There's one more part. The writing test is 15% of your final grade, and you will be scored on grammar, spelling, format, content, and effectiveness. grammar, spelling, format, content, and effectiveness. Right, see you in the next video.